And hello YouTube, this is GSmaniamsmart, and I'm doing a brand new video for Gaming with GS, and today we're going to talk about the Guild Wars 2 patch, Fire Rising, the Living World Season 3 Episode 2 patch that was released today. You're probably seeing this video on Wednesday, mainly because there's been a lot of content, a lot of information and news I've been going through, trying to figure out what to add to this video, how to make it as comprehensive as possible, and include all the important information. Unfortunately, there is a lot of content. There's been a lot of news released, there's been a lot of Easter eggs released, a lot of things players have found. We apparently are getting new Black Lion weapons, lots of data mining has been happening, and this patch has just been in general fairly big with the inclusion of a new PvE map, PvP map, changes to fractals. We have word on the legendary weapons, lots of information. We have a Reddit developer AMA from the company of ArenaNet about the game. Lots of stuff has been happening for this past day or two, and it's just a lot of information. I can't put it on one video. So today we're going to go over the general things the patch had to offer, and in the coming days or within the next week or so, you should see some more specific videos on things like the Ember Bay map. I am doing a collab video with Elias. He's another Guild Wars 2 YouTuber, and we're going to be talking about Ember Bay, how the map works, what you can do in the map, and probably how you can make some money if there's a way to do that. Just like we did a map video on Bloodstone Fen, we're going to do a map video on Ember Bay, and I'll probably do some other videos focusing on legendary weapons a bit more and the new fractal changes. But today's video is going to be a general overview of the patch and what was in it, basically. We'll also have a video coming up later in the week, or in a week from today or so. I'm not really sure. We'll have a story recap of episode 2. By that time, I should have it done, and we can talk about the lore a bit more, about the story, give it a review, and whatnot. So all that is coming up within the time to come. So if you are a new person to the channel, if you're a new subscriber, you haven't subscribed yet, and you want to get all this content and learn about all these new things, highly recommend you to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of these things I'm going to be releasing within the coming week. So we know that Fire Rising has been released today. This is episode 2 in season 3. You can unlock it for free. Be aware, if you don't have Heart of Thorns, you can still log on and unlock this episode. So whenever you do buy Heart of Thorns, you basically have it unlocked for free and you don't need to pay for it. Just like the last episode, if you want to do the last episode, you would have had to log in within the past 2 months when the episode was active. If you didn't log in for episode 1 the past 2 months, you'll have to pay for it now, and that's kind of how ArenaNet is dealing with the model, whether you have to pay for the episodes or not. If you log in during the time, you'll unlock it for free. If you don't, then you have to pay for it, which I guess is fair because you have 2 months to log in anyway, and by that time you should have logged in once at least. So where are we in the story right now as far as Living World Season 3 goes? Well, Timmy did do research on the Chalk Organ, she did research on the Dragon activity, and we do know that Bloodstone exploded in Bloodstone Fen, and we know that while we were trying to find the cause of the Bloodstone Fen explosion, we saw Lazarus, one of the Mersat, and Codicus, the leader of the White Mantle. We basically found all that out. They both escaped, and now we're basically trying to figure out where Primordus is, since Timmy did tell us he was active, and this is leading us to the Fire Island chain in Ember Bay. I've played a little bit of the story so far. So far, it's a great story. Lots of little funny things are being said, lots of good script writing. So far, I see lots of good character development as well, and it's been a pretty fun few missions that I've played part of the patch so far, and it looks like this is up to the quality that the last episode was as well, which is always good news. But I have not even finished the episode yet, so we'll have to see what's coming up next. But so far, the first few missions are really well done, and I really enjoyed them. As for some of the general things that we're going to go over, we obviously do have the new Ember Bay map. You can get there through Radasum, and the map looks gorgeous at nighttime. The map looks really good too. The lava is very bright and it just looks really nice. I like how the lava and the ocean are there mixing together, how there's some lava falls, not really waterfalls, but lava falls going into the water. Lots of cool little sights you can see. And this is definitely a map we've been waiting for, and the time has definitely paid off. I really enjoyed the map. I tried exploring the entire map earlier today, but it's fairly big and there's lots of cool things you can see in it. I have not found the joint puzzle yet, but if I do find the joint puzzle, I'm going to try to see if I can create a guide on it. I'm not very good at joint puzzles, but we'll see how that goes. We also know that a new legendary mace has been available now. It seems like legendary weapons are being continuously made now. As for today, Eureka has been released, which is a mace. It looks really nice, has some really neat little effects going on, and you'll have to go to the Grandmaster Crafter in Lion's Arch to start that legendary journey. Just as the other ones, you'll probably have to go through several steps of Legendary Journal, probably like 4 little achievement sections to craft it just like the other legendary weapons are, and hoping to see more legendary weapons as the time comes, since we did get a mace in this patch. Maybe we'll get another legendary weapon in the next patch, but there was an article released on legendary weapons, and I'll talk a little bit about that more in another video, because this is a pretty big topic that ArenaNet has not only been debating among themselves, but a lot of the community has been debating on this as well. We also got a new targeted ally feature, which basically puts effects over people's heads if they're alive, if they're dead, if an enemy's alive, if an enemy's dead. Can be very useful, especially for people who are downed, but I'm not really sure how this works with enemies. We have the targeting system. You can target enemies, so I think this is very useful for people that are downed, I guess. But I don't know what the difference is between this and between the regular targeting system that we did have. I have not used the system very much, but we do have that new feature there, and I think it'll be fairly useful. You can also mute these, since there'll be sound effects for that as well. We have a few new options in the options menu as well, dealing with teleportation, cameras, and obviously this new targeted ally system. Those are basically all the general things that we got in today's patch. Now on to Fractals, where we have lots of changes. We do have new instabilities, as well as some instabilities that have been removed that many people hated, including Boon Thieves. This was one of the instabilities that many people didn't like. I didn't like it, and apparently it's been removed along with Sluggish and Lethargic, and instead we have new instabilities such as Toxic Trails, which basically has toxic sludge behind enemies as they move. We have Flux Bombs, where you're affected by anomaly flux bombs above your head. I believe that's the one. And we also have Adrenaline Rush, where enemies are enraged when they're low on health. And there's one last one called Misconvergence, where apparently fractals are converging together. I don't exactly know what that means. I have not seen this instability yet. I'll definitely see it as I do fractals more often, but it sounds fairly interesting. I don't know if this sort of makes you dizzy, makes your vision blurred. I don't know if this is some strange instability where different fractals are converging together and basically creating a new fractal. I'm not really sure, but it sounds interesting, and I am waiting to see what it's all about. If you do know what this is, and if you have seen it, please leave a comment down below, because I'd love to see what it's about, and most people will probably be interested in what it is as well. Now, apart from that, one of the problems Fractals has always had is that as you go higher into the tiers, many of the monsters gain tons and tons of toughness, and this makes power builds very ineffective compared to the condition damage build, which tend to be very effective at high scale Fractals. The problem with low tier Fractals was that they tend to go by very fast. You could breeze through the low tier Fractals by killing things very quickly. And there's basically been balance changes made to high tier and low tier fractals. Now high tier fractals should take less time to complete, but low tier fractals should take just a little longer, so that you're not just breezing through them like they're nothing. Essentially, toughness scaling has been removed, and things basically have a bit more health, especially in lower tier fractals where bosses have more health, just so that you're not breezing through them. But the good news is that toughness scaling is gone from the higher tier fractals, because I know that I went into higher tier fractals and it really seemed like power builds were kind of thrown in the dust there, but now they're becoming a bit more relevant, and high tier fractals should be a bit more fun now for power builds, since the toughness is gone. We do have more health now, but I'd rather deal with more health than I would with toughness. Along with those fractal changes, one of the things that was teased a few days prior to the patch was this picture that the Guild Wars 2 Twitter released, which basically had the new Mistlock Observatory, where fractals are located. Well, everyone thought this was sort of like a hub, or maybe some new fractals that were released, but in fact, it's basically just a new area where you can now talk to a Laurel Merchant, you have a Golem Banker, you have a trading post. So if you're someone who does fractals a lot, you just sit in fractals area a lot, you basically have a lot of the services available now that Lion's Arch has right inside the fractal area. There is still no guild bank. If there was a guild bank here, we basically have everything in that little area, but it seems like ArenaNet always leaves one essential thing out, so that this can't be your one-stop shop for everything. There's also a new vendor called the Bling 9009, which sells ascended weapons and ascended armor boxes. There has been some debate on whether that's too expensive or not, but I'll try to take a closer look at that and perhaps do a video on that, comparing the ascended materials and the ascended weapon prices here in the vendor compared to crafting. I believe crafting is still the cheaper way and the cheapest way to make your ascended gear, and I guess that's how it should be, since that's kind of what the ascended stuff is meant to be, through crafting. Yes, you can get it through raids, yes, you can get it through fractals and PvP, but the quickest way and the cheapest way and most efficient way, I would say, is through crafting. That's how I got mine. That's how I know a lot of people got theirs. There also have been several adjustments made to each fractal, basically just some balance changes and some bug fixes. Swampland has some of the biggest changes. Bloom Hunger was obviously adjusted again. We know last patch Bloom Hunger had some changes made to it. Well, they've basically made the beginning of the fractal a bit quicker by changing how some of the events function, and they've changed some scaling adjustments on Bloom Hunger himself. I think the fractal should go by a bit quicker, but I have not tried killing or fighting the boss in Bloom Hunger yet. But there seems to have been a lot of changes made to that boss. If you want some of the more specifics on that boss, as well as some of the specifics on all the other fractals, which have had some bug fixes changed, and some of the more surprising and actually some of the better changes I have seen right now that have really brought me some joy, is that the volcanic cinematic can now be skipped, and in uncategorized, those stupid electricity pulses on those stairs that everyone always fails on, well, now those are not going to hit minions and clones anymore. Whenever you had a Mesmer or a Necro with minions or some clones running around, you always basically got screwed on those electric pulses. Well, those have been fixed now, that pets, clones, and minions will not be affected anymore, and that should go by a bit easier, as well as the volcanic cinematic being able to be skipped now, because nobody wanted to sit through that long cinematic every single time you went in there, and I guess that can now be skipped, which is always good to see. A lot of these little changes have been made to a lot of different fractals. Those are just two of the ones I thought are worth mentioning, since I know a lot of people did complain about those. We also have 14 new fractal guild decorations. Unfortunately, they're only through scribe crafting. I would have loved to see these decorations go through some sort of vendor token that you can buy them with, but scribes obviously were meant for creating decorations. So now if you are scribing and you do have a max scribe, take a look at some of these new recipes, because you can craft some more decorations for your guild hall. And lastly, one of the few changes that we've always been wanting, or I know I have been wanting for quite some time, I know some people have been wanting this change as well, is the Amber Quantic Dipole and the Azure Denaturizing Agent. These two items are very rare to get in fractals. You can only get these within a certain range of scaling, for example 1 through 25 or 25 through 50. Some of these items can only be dropped from those specific fractal scales. Well, now they have basically been made available from 1 to 125 to 100. These have now been made a bit easier to earn and get from RNG. However, they are still RNG, so you'll probably still have a hard time getting them, but you should have an easier time now, because you don't need to worry about doing specific fractals if you are after these items. They are now available in many more fractals rather than just a few of them, a few 25 or 50 of them like they were before. Now they aren't as restricted as they were before. So that basically covers all the general patch notes and the fractal patch notes. Onto PvP, where we obviously have a new map, the Eternal Coliseum, which is going to stay in unranked play for now, just as the last map that we had come into beta for the last patch was an unranked play. The Eternal Coliseum will now be an unranked play, and depending on how the community takes it, it'll obviously make its way into ranked if it is up to par and up to the ranked play standard. I have done a few matches in the arena already. I'm really liking it. Lots of room in the arena. It's a pretty big map. Artifact collecting is pretty fun too. The defensive buff seems to be really powerful. I basically got the defensive buff for my entire team, and I basically got a free res, and I also got 5,000 health. So it does seem like the carrier of the artifact also gets the passive buffs. This is something that I was curious about for quite some time, because I wasn't sure if passive buffs would only go to your team or to the artifact carrier as well, but it seems like it does go to the artifact carrier as well. So whoever gets the artifact can make some really big plays and has the potential to change the tide of the game, especially if you have the offensive buff, because you can just get free stomps and you have that passive 20% damage boost. I do know for the defensive buff, I did get the passive and the artifact itself bonuses, so I'm guessing for the offensive artifact those bonuses work the exact same way. Pretty fun map though, and the crowd does interact with the plays being made in the arena, so if you happen to lose points, the crowd does sort of get disappointed, and if you happen to capture points, the crowd also gets excited and they tend to cheer a bit more. That's a neat little mechanic that I found interesting, and as developers described it, that's basically how it works, and it's a pretty neat little feature. We also have a new set of limited time achievements up until the PvP season ends, I believe. Just like in the last PvP map that was released, you had a certain amount of time to, in fact you still have some time to get the achievements for the last map. Well, you do now have new achievements for the Eternal Coliseum as well to get the Eternal Gladiator title. I believe that's what the title was. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I do think that's what it was called, the Eternal Gladiator title. And you get 5 gold. So if you're playing that map a lot, make sure you go after those achievements, because those are limited time achievements, and I believe they do go away at the end of the PvP season. Lastly, we have some updates on build making in PvP. You can't make your own custom builds yet, you can't save those yet, but it does seem like we are getting towards that goal, because so far we do have default builds for each class. Each class now has 2 default builds available that you can choose from, which basically give you a weapon, give you runes, give you sigils, all predefined and pre-made by the arena team. So if you're new to PvP, this is a neat little feature that can get you into PvPing and just picking a default build without really having to know all about the different runes, all about different sigils. This is great for new players, and if you're willing to get into PvP, try some of these default builds out, and then you can probably expand on from there and make your own custom build. We're still waiting to get some custom builds saving for PvE, PvP, and War vs. World. Hopefully that's coming out in a future patch, because it does seem like they do have the technology to save builds, so hopefully we can save our own builds rather than they just making predefined builds as we see in today's patch. Next, we're going to talk about War vs. World. We do know that the squad UI has been reworked with a couple of new features, like changing the commander icon in squad, and whenever a person joins your squad, you have a message showing now, which is a pretty neat addition as well. Leather and cloth synthesizers have also been added to War vs. World and to guild halls as well. We've always had the herb synthesizers, the gathering synthesizers for the plants, the trees, and for the ores, but we've never had synthesizers for cloth and leather. I guess this is one of the ways that Arena is solving the huge prices on leather. Whether it'll be enough to sustain the economy, I'm not sure, but it is a solution, and it is something a lot of people have wanted for the guild hall and for War vs. World now, and well, now it's here. Hopefully people find it useful, and hopefully people appreciate it. I certainly am, because I've been wanting some synthesizers for cloth and leather for a long time now. I remember when I first started playing this game, cloth, such as linen scraps and wool scraps and, you know, all those different scraps, they were hard to find, and well, now we have something at least. We'll see how effective these cloth synthesizers really are. We do know they made a step forward in trying to resolve the leather issue with the high prices by allowing different leathers to be salvaged in Bloodstone Fen, and I guess this is another step towards that direction to solve this problem, which is always appreciated. A few other quality of life changes have also been made to War vs. World, such as objectives having mouse hover UI, which basically show you the war score for every objective. You also get to see how much RI is left, which is really useful, because up until now you've always had to sort of check on your own, going to each different objective or using another resource online to check RI. Well, now you can basically check it just by hovering your mouse over, which is a really nice quality of life change. A few other changes have been made as well, but nothing really major. If you want to check those out, check the War vs. World section in the patch notes. And lastly, for a gem store, we have a new Mersat backpack, glider, and Mersat robes outfit, which looks pretty cool. Those are available in the gem store right now. We also have 6 new hair colors, which have been added for the total makeover kit, and we should be getting carnival weapons for the new Black Lion skins coming very soon. Data mining did show that those carnival skins should be coming soon. Data mining also has shown that we should be getting 3 new emotes as well. Not sure when those are coming, but it is Tipsy emote, Toast, and Staggers. I'm not sure if that is in relation to a pirate theme for some sort, but those emotes should be coming in fairly soon as well. And other than that, that's pretty much everything we got in today's patch. Like I said, there's a lot more that is not mentioned in the patch notes. There's a lot more that I have not talked about or gone over, and we'll be making separate videos for those, such as some of the things you can do in Ember Bay. There was a new cat also added in Ember Bay that you can now add to your home instance, which reminds me that I probably should have made the cat feeding video after this patch, knowing that now there's a new cat. But I'll definitely go over that in the Ember Bay video. We also are going to make another video about legendary weapons and lots of other stuff. So like I said, there's a lot more content in today's patch, a lot more content in the game that I want to go over, but those will be for future videos since I don't want to make this video too long. But hopefully you found the video helpful and informative. Any questions or comments, anything you like about the patch, go and leave in the comment section down below. I'll definitely be down there answering questions you have and talking to you guys as usual. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, go and subscribe. Lots of other Guild Wars 2 content coming in the future. Lots of other Guild Wars 2 content on our channel already. Different guides, different patch summaries, different news about Guild Wars 2, different goal making guides. Lots of cool stuff on the channel that's very helpful for you, I think. And if you're into Guild Wars 2 and any other gaming content, go and subscribe, and I think you'll enjoy your stay here with all the content that we have coming up and already here. I also have a Patreon page. You want to donate $1 there, you can do so. Anything as low as that is very helpful, much appreciated. And also have a vlogging channel, music channel, advice channel, and tutorials channel. Want to check this out? Links in the description as well as on the end card. And that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching as always. And this is GSmaniamsmart, and I'll be back sooner than you think. Don't go anywhere.